It's a celebration tonight! Yeah!
Snow is falling all around us. Little children having fun, apparently. It is Christmas time. It's the special festive edition of the Adam and Rowe Show. And it's not only the Adam and Rowe Show this week, it's the Adam and Rowe and Carl and Trent. Good day, fellas.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on?
I don't know if the Impact Lounge can handle this.
I know. What, the fact that I've just quoted a Shakin' Stevens Christmas hit, or the fact that four big personalities are all on at the same time?
We almost were only three personalities, because I'm going to share one thing before we start here, guys. At 4 a.m, I got a text from Kyle today,
Geez.
and it was I woke up early. I said, Kyle told me, he reminded me yesterday. He said, Trent, be on time. We're recording. We have 4 time zones we got to focus on.
You're just going to do this, Trent? We're just going to kick off the show like this?
Oh, absolutely. Because we almost weren't a foursome. We were almost a threesome. I'm going to tell you. I get a text message from Kyle, gentlemen, that says, Trent, I'm setting alarms, but do me a favor and wake me up. I'm extremely hammered right now. I went out with my buddies until the bar closed. I should be fine, but call me when you get up. I might be drunk. So he almost didn't make it, but he's here, guys. Kyle is here. Kyle, thanks for joining.
Thank you for being so transparent with our audience, Trent, for putting Kyle's demons out there for the show. How's everybody doing?
Well, I was going to say, we don't have sound effects on our show, but if there was a chance to get a round of applause sound effects, I think that's it. Congratulations.
That or the slap nuts. But yes, we were in tribute to the Big Lebowski. There was a discussion about White Russians, and everybody ordering beers all night turned into a White Russian festival. I'll be honest with you, fellas, I've never drank a White Russian before. I'm probably never going to drink a White Russian again. I think it was an experience. It was a one-night deal. It was fun, but I'd say the party ended about 4 hours ago. So I might feel a little woozy here on the show this morning, guys. So I'm just warning you. But thanks, Trent. Thank you for that.
And just remember, folks, it is Christmas time. Drink in moderation, just like my American co-host today. Don't overdo it at this time of year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad we're able to do this, guys. Thanks for connecting.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah.
Try this at home. Anyway, White Russians, by the way, I can't believe you're never going to go back to them. They're amazing. I said,
I'm sure they're great. Just don't drink like 40 of them. That's all.
Oh, there you go.
Jesus, man. Woo, your liver, man.
This kid, I tell you, this guy.
All right, this has got on fire enough, fellas. Let's go on here.
All right, so what we're going to cover today? Well, we might touch on a few user comments. We love your comments, as do the guys on the Impact review. So make sure you do leave some comments for us for next year, because we're most probably not going to have another show this year now. But what we're going to do is we're going to cover a bit of news. We're going to look back over the last year and also do some predictions for Homecoming. So before we do, though, I've got a bit of news. As regular listeners will know, I sometimes get involved in interviews, these kind of things, usually set up by some contacts I've got at Impact. And like the dimwit that I am, I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with Jordine Grace. And the first rule of podcasting and doing these interviews is to hit the record button. And guess who forgot to hit the record button? So I did this 20-minute interview with her, and I've got no proof or evidence of it, except for the fact she very kindly dropped me an email afterwards, just giving me some highlights. So I think that's maybe a good place to kick off. And by the way, she just got engaged this week. So
I saw that, yeah.
Congratulations to Jordine. So yeah, she's got engaged to Jonathan Gresham. Have you seen this guy? I've never seen him wrestle, but apparently he's pretty good.
I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen him wrestle. He is pretty good. He's very solid, and I think he just had a match at Ring of Honor's Final Battle with, I want to say, Zack Sabre Jr. I believe. So definitely a great talent, though, man. He's pretty cool. I had no idea they were together.
So Adam, you're telling me that you sat down to interview an Impact talent like you always do, and you do a great job at doing so. But you're telling me that you sat down and forgot to click record after the fact?
Yeah, well, I realized as I was saying thank you for your time today, and I went to click the record button off because it was done over the phone, and I realized that I never started it. So yes,
come on, Trent. Round of applause for Adam.
Oh God.
I was
going to be the only moron on the show today. White Russians are good, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I've got some highlights. And the question for me, I mean, the only question I really wanted to ask her, but we did get into a lot of other stuff, was has she met Scott Steiner? Has Big Mama Pump meet Big Daddy Pump? And she's and this, I love this story because it is a Scott Steiner story. And she said that she went to I think it was WrestleCade this year, and she had her merch table set up, meet and greet, these kind of things. And Scott Steiner was at the next table, when she got there. And she said that basically, she was basically shitting herself, thinking, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? What's he going to react to? And he no-showed. I just love he no-showed. So she said she was all psyched up for it. The actual quote was, I nearly met him at WrestleCade. We were set up tables next to each other to do autograph signings. I was getting myself psyched to meet him, but he no-showed. I guess he's scheduled at different times, but that was the closest yet. So she's never met Scott Steiner. So it's a bit of a nothing story. There you go. The one that's interesting, she signed for 2 years, she told me. She signed with Impact for 2 years. So she's around for quite some time yet. So that's good. What have you made of her, by the way, guys? Ro, we'll start with you. Do you like her?
I think most recently that match that she had with the Ruby Rays, I just by far has been the one I've been most impressed with. Yeah, I think she has a power game to her, and I know I've heard in I forgot who had mentioned it, but she doesn't like to be referred to as a rhino, but I think of a rhino-like character where she's not like tall, but she's small but strong and has some speed to her. So yeah, for the most part, I like what I've seen.
Kyle, what have you got on her?
Well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, fellas. I don't know too much of her pre-Impact, and we're still very early on, here in her Impact run. So I really don't have much of an opinion on her. I want to give her some time. I feel like it's unfair for me to, put my clear opinion on her now. We'll give her a few weeks, a couple more episodes, work a few more programs. I'm sure I'll have something to say about her. But man, what a tough week for that girl. I mean, you have Adam flopping the interview, and then did you guys see she actually became like a viral meme star yesterday for the wrong reasons?
No.
What's
this about?
Jordan Grace, you guys didn't see this?
No.
All right. Well, I figured you'd all know what I'm talking about here, so I don't have it in my hand. So give me a second to rifle through Twitter here real quick. But yesterday, somebody took her picture and turned her into a meme, and it just so happened to go on one of those like really popular meme pages, and like thousands of people just started roasting her and saying that she looks like Skrillex. It was brutal. It was brutal. Like I felt awful for her. She was being a sport about it. She was posting it, laughing, haha. She even pointed out the fact that so many people were insulting her and calling her bad names. But somebody took a picture of her. It was very, very blurry, and the meme was me taking a photo of my man versus him taking a photo of me. Actually, a meme that she made herself. Actually, nobody made this, to rip on her. She made it herself, and it got picked up. It's all over the viral internet market. If you're into memes, you're definitely going to see this one within the next week or two. But, man, I just felt awful that she got roasted so bad. So she's got that going for her. Adam screwed the interview for her. But, hey, she's in Impact Wrestling now. She made it to Impact. So
she's got 2 years, man. She got 2 years. At least she's got a contract.
At least there's something to talk about. She's a viral star. I could say, not a lot of other Impact wrestlers can say that.
Well, it's crazy that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
No, you carry on, Roy. You carry on.
No, only thing I was going to add, I know what you're referring to now. They turned a meme into that. That's wow.
Yeah, that was
kind of
at it too.
Yeah, it's kind of a reach only because I remember seeing it initially, and I chuckled because in other words, it's just pointing out like how when we're dating folks and our women whoever, they could take the perfect picture of us, but us fellas, when we take pictures of them, it's all half-assed. But folks turn that into a meme. That's wow.
I guess I could see why, because like she's dressed down. You can tell she's no makeup on. She's got glasses on, and I can see if they're calling her Skrillex. I can see where they stretched it to. I could see that. But I guess she's a sport about, like Kyle said. It kind of she looks like she's rolling with it, so that's cool.
Anyway, moving on. Two other things just out of the interview very quickly. She's going to be at Homecoming.
Yes.
I don't think there's a match. Is there a match set up yet?
Not
for
yet.
her? Not yet. Okay. She said she's definitely going to be there. She herself doesn't know who she's facing, so I can't imagine that the match has got much relevance other than just basically filling out the card. But there is one other bit, and bearing in mind, Kyle has been mercilessly ripping the piss out of me about not recording this interview. I'm guessing this might be about him. So I asked her to tell her, she's written 3 books. Did you know this, guys? She's written 3 books.
Her books are incredible. They're incredible. Yes.
But basically, it's about guys who basically trying to pull her on Twitter or Facebook or whatever and sending her dirty messages. So it's a collection of messages. So I'm going to read out what her favorite one was, and it's from her 3rd book, so it's not out yet. And this is what got me thinking of Kyle, because I reckon it could be him. So tell me about your books, Jordine. Well, I have 2 books out and a 3rd one coming soon. It's a collection of all the DMs I received over my 8 years in the business. There's some creepy people out there. My favorite, it feels weird calling it my favorite. Well, it's in the next book, but it was a guy who set up cameras all around his gym and filmed himself naked whilst doing star jumps, thrusts, and squats. Kyle, was that you?
That's funny, Adam. Thank you for providing that reenactment for us, since the audio doesn't exist. I appreciate it.
Oh God.
So there you go. That was my interview with Jordine, and do you know what? To be fair to her, she was lovely. She was traveling in a taxi back to the airport. She was in the UK at the time. She also talked about the UK talent not being able to work because of the NXT contracts, and she said it's a load of shit. Basically, she said that she just faced Tony Storm, and LAX had faced someone on the same card, and it's not going to have much of an impact. So there you go. So that was the interview. But she was as nice as anything. She really was.
If I ever learn how to read, I'll pick up those books. Brush up on my skills.
Those books are cool. I saw her at her merch table, because she does a lot of indies around here and around Illinois and Indiana, so around my area, and I get to see her. And yeah, those books they're hilarious, and it's a hell of a marketing gimmick, because it's like all these girls we know are getting ridiculous messages, and hey, turn into money, man. That's a layup to make money. Absolutely.
Here's a question. Here's a question for you 3, because I asked her, I said, any famous people DM you? And she said, yeah, she's had quite a few wrestlers. So here you go, guys. Wow. Who do you think would be the number 1 suspect has dropped her a sleazy DM?
Oh, man. To Jordan Grace?
Yeah, to Jordan Grace.
Now, I wonder, is she going to include the penis pictures in the book? Or, like, we going to censor them out, just the messages?
I've no idea.
I got to know about the penis here, fellas. I don't know about the penis content.
I'm gonna guess Rockstar Spud is the one who sent her a sleazy DM. I'm going Rockstar Spud. That's my pick.
I would make a pick, but it was me, so I would be cheating.
Yeah, there you go. We can end that now.
I can't say in specific a wrestler, but if I had to guess, I'm just gonna go out, and this is no bashing, maybe a top mid card star. And just I feel like probably, looking at her like she's on the indies, he's this big star. So he tried to shoot a shot, figuring like with his status that he can get her. I mean, who? I don't know. There's so many of them, but I would just say it probably is somebody of that ilk.
That seemed very specific, Ro. Like you had someone in mind, and at the last minute,
call it out, Ro.
Who it was.
Call it out. I put
Zach Ryder. There you go.
There you go. Boom. Call it out.
Nice. Cody.
Woo, woo, woo.
It was Cody. I'm not talking about the wrestler either. Figure that one out, loungers.
Anyway, guys, moving on. Final bit of news from Impact for me. Basically, UK news that Fight Network UK is back on Freeview, so you can pick that up around, and they're going to be airing all 3 Impact pay-per-views free to air. Okay, is it really free when it's like 9 months later? But yeah, over the next month, you'll be able to catch all of the pay-per-views that have happened this year on Freeview on the UK, on the Fight Network UK. So there you go. That's all with regards to the news. Obviously, we're talking TV deals, though. So I think at this point, it's most probably worthwhile mentioning a little bit of news that came out of the States this week. Impact has got a new home.
They do.
Discuss. I know nothing about the Pursuit channel, and reading all the negative comments, I'm guessing it's not everyone's first choice, but that's good to you, Trent. What do you make of this?
So it's okay. It's not a widely available channel. Pursuit channel is known as an outdoors network, very very marketed to guys. It's a more right now a lot of hunting programs. It's kind of like very niche, kind of like what Destination America was when they first went to Destination America, but right now it's available. I think it's at about 45 million homes. It's on three of the major cable providers in the U.S. A couple more still to go, but so a lot of people are kind of like bummed out because for example, my cable system does not have it, but I tweeted that day, the announcement, and my cable system got right back to me, and they said, please put the request in. We'll get to work on seeing what we can do. They did the same thing for Pop TV when I didn't have Pop TV as part of my cable didn't even carry it. I put that request in. 2 months later, Pop TV was available on my cable. So it is definitely something where it's a growing channel. And from what my theory is, I'm going to put a theory out there. I have a feeling that they're going to kind of brand this station around Impact. And I know it's kind of a broad theory, but I have a feeling like they're really going to just make this a station catered to Impact, and then let that be the anchor, and then kind of trickle it off of that, because they know that it's going to influx a ton of people to watch this channel that nobody watches, right? Or I shouldn't say nobody, but that nobody wrestling wise is watching. You're going to have an influx of a ton of new fans who I never heard of Pursuit until yesterday. So now everybody knows about it. Now all these people are going to come to it. So now they're going to brand around it. And from what I heard is that they're going to carry everything. They're going to carry Explosion. They're going to carry specials, and they're going to carry the flagship show. So,
Trent, I got to cut you off. That was discussed in the press releases for both Pop TV and Destination America. So let's see where they go with that. I don't want to,
fair enough.
I don't want to count my chickens, before they hatch.
But the difference on this one I was seeing, guys, was that this station is partially owned by Anthem Sports. That's the big difference here. So Anthem has a stake in the station. So it's like you're the owner of both companies is doing this. I feel like there's a little more leverage to work out. I don't know. What do you guys think? If that's the case.
What you got, bro?
Okay, without repeating some of the stuff I said on Clock Cleaners, here's the thing: as optimistic as I want to be, I feel it's another tough blow because I don't get Pursuit, and I don't think Spectrum will be as generous if I put in a request for them to add it to my lineup without having to pay more. But I think it just hurts because you look at it in the past, 5, 6, 7 years, it seems like they have a 2-3 year Impact has a 2-3 year window with the station, and then they're hopping. I think if this move would have came at a time where the ratings were at a good point, I think it'd be better received. But I think we already seen a decline in the ratings, and then to not only switch stations, but to switch to a station that less people have, and then still that on a different day, and then it's the slot that really got me. I think had they moved to Fridays and it'd been at 8 o'clock or whatever or earlier, it would have been fine. But to get 10, it just lets me know that they didn't have a lot to negotiate with, because when they were trying to shop around the product, these stations are looking at these ratings, and they're looking at the history of them changing stations so often that they didn't really have too much bargaining power with trying to get a better slot. So they had to pretty much accept this. And then, while I like to believe they can market it around, they can market the station and make it their station, so to speak. The whole point is to expand the fan base. I mean, they already know they got their loyal fans, but they're trying to appeal to the casuals. And one would hope that, people who tend to watch that channel would tune in. But unfortunately, I think that's a hunting channel. I don't know how many people who are into hunting are into wrestling. I mean, we'll see. But I think that's probably just the biggest thing. And lastly, and I know you added this, Trent, about, the potential of them adding additional programming. The key is the ratings would have to be high enough to warrant that additional programming. If Impact is only gaining, under 200K, what incentive is there to add another show that might even do even less,
Yeah.
Just my quick thoughts on it, and this is obviously from a UK view because I don't know nothing about the network, way it works over there. But I think this is a short stop, basically short-term deal. They moved there before they got kicked off Pop, so at least it gives them time to negotiate with whoever it is they eventually end up with. It's owned by Anthem. It could be a bit of a tax write-off as well, so they can get money in for Impact, balance the books, write off some tax from Pursuit, from the production company, whatever it may be. So I think this, 6 months' time, they'll be on another channel. The Friday night thing, I like. I mean, I don't know about 10 o'clock, but I would have thought that people coming in from a finishing work, going out for a few beers, coming in, let's watch men oiled up wrestling. That sounds a bit creepy when I say it like that, but you know what I mean. That's the cut. That to me, that's when I'd want to watch wrestling, is when I'm with my mates and I've had a few beers. We can sit back and watch it.
One of the things that somebody brought up too was that they're kind of playing off that SmackDown time slot, because SmackDown will be essentially a lead-in for this, because it'll be when SmackDown moves to Fox, they're going 7 to 9, and then Impact will be 9 to 11 or whatever it is. So it'll be, they're trying to see if they can trickle off of that. So even if they get a certain percentage of that SmackDown audience who's already at their TV watching wrestling, to maybe just switch over and take a look. I think they're kind of banking on a little bit of that too. So that's not out of the realm of possibility that they can pick up some new viewers that way.
You know what? The Pursuit channel, though, it's an outdoor hunting channel. All right, Destination America had some different programming. There was cooking shows on there, all sorts of strange, niche programming. But the Pursuit channel is very, very specific. I was looking at the website for them yesterday, and all of the shows are very, very strictly hunting, fishing. I'm having trouble thinking, how could this work? How could this be a good thing? And unfortunately, we're kind of used to this as Impact fans. I hate to say that. We all love the product. We love the weekly television show. But I'd say we're all pretty honest when it comes to the company's flaws here and there. I mean, let's face it, folks. We're talking about Impact Wrestling. They haven't had, the easiest of, I'd say, a run altogether, especially in the last couple of years. So I'm trying to figure out why Pursuit would be a good place to be, unless maybe the pressure was on, because the channel was apparently owned by Anthem. And let me make this clear, folks. I am somebody, I'm a fan. I'm not an expert. I'm not on the other side of this. So this is clearly speculation coming from me. But the company is owned by Anthem, apparently, or there's some sort of affiliation there, because if you go on Pursuit's Wikipedia site at the end, you'll see parent sister stations, and Fight Network is the first one that pops up. So there already is something in place there. I'll be honest with you guys, it doesn't look very good from the outside looking in. The LOL TNA crowd, they definitely have some ammo, but I want to make a point here. Trent, you did a good job there talking about this, and it kind of just sparked something off in my head. You know what? I think as wrestling fans, we need to start making our voices be heard a little more. And I'm not just talking about complaining on the internet, but I'm talking about complaining on the internet. Trent, you're talking about how Impact comes to networks and kind of builds them up from complete obscurity to, hey, kind of know what that is. They went to Destination. They went to Destination America. They did that. They went to Pop TV. They did that. 2 networks I've never heard of that now I've spent a lot of time watching. And maybe the Pursuit channel will just be another example of that. They'll come and make a network and give the network, some life, pump some life into it. But Trent, this is where we need to go to the loungers, and not just do Trent, also Adam and Ro. I forget I'm talking to a whole room here instead of just Trent. Usually I'm just chewing Trent's ear off. But this is where the loungers come into play, folks. What I'm doing here is I'm calling to everybody listening. If you listen to our podcast, you're an Impact fan, you support the company, you're happy to support the company. I'm not telling you to go on shopimpact.com and spend all your money. Here's something you can do for free. call up your local cable providers. Hey, even if they're not even your cable providers, call all the cable providers that you know about. Call them, tell them you want Pursuit on the regular package. Don't want it on the high tier. You want it on the regular affordable package. Tell them you want Impact. Demand Impact Wrestling. We have the internet. We have these tools. Let's use them as a fan base. Let's help out Impact Wrestling. Do your part. Don't just be a fan and consume the product. Go a little out of your way, because let's face it, folks, our backs are against the wall. I mean, things aren't great for the company. So as a fan base, let's start to move as an army a little more. Help out Impact Wrestling. Do your part. Am I wrong, fellas, for suggesting that?
No, spot on.
No.
Spot on.
So I want to add to it. Yeah. So Kyle was referring to a tweet that I made yesterday about how I always say wrestling in general has built networks, because I look back in history, and before WWE went to USA was a garbage station. It was just playing softcore murder mystery shows and just a bunch of garbage B movies and stuff. And then WWE became a thing, and it built USA. You know, they built up with it. TBS was built on WCW. Like Ted Turner has said this, like, wrestling built my network. TNT became a household name because 7 million people a week were starting to watch Nitro, and 7 million people a week in the ideal demographic were tuning in every Monday night. So what happens after that? TNT gets the NBA. And Impact, again, like Kyle mentioned, I was saying that I mentioned yesterday, Pop TV, Destination America, nobody heard of these stations before Impact went there. Now we all know about them. And their viewership has only increased in general. They used to bring 2 million people to Spike. You know, those 2 million people did not stay with Spike. That's why Spike, soon after Impact left, ended up rebranding it to a whole different station. Spike died very soon after Impact left. I mean, it really wasn't that long. So what I'm saying is, like, I'm not saying Impact's this big savior, but it sure as hell shows that wrestling does build networks. And I think that Pursuit is going to go all in because they're owned by Anthem, and you have that stake in the company on both sides. And
but they're going to have to rebrand a little bit, Trent.
I think they are.
Let's be honest here. I want to throw this out to you guys and the loungers. Do you see Allie and Austin Aries proudly working for the company if the station is completely dedicated to people shooting animals all day? These people are hardcore vegans, no?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
You know, I don't think, well, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, because I like to believe, you know, if you're not into hunting, you're really only watching the station, you know, Impact fans, I should say, to catch Impact. But then once again, like I said, the whole point is for them to expand the audience. So you're going to have people who are hunters don't care for wrestling, and then wrestling fans who don't care for hunting. So it's still the same kind of fan base. They need to expand, and like that's just a thing where I just, you know, look at it as, and you know, every time if you look from every switch that they've done, it's kind of like they've lost a piece of the audience. And this stems back from switch from Spike to Destination America to Pop, now Pop to Pursuit.
Good point.
But here's another thing, fellas, that you need to bring up that hasn't even none of you brought it up. What's up with this non-exclusive deal people are talking about? Any of you have any insight on that? 'Cause that could change everything.
I got a little, if anybody else wants to start first, but I got a little I could talk about on that.
I just got a quick theory. I kind of just think like this, and I'm not trying to seem like a Debbie Downer because I love Impact, but I think, you know, this was, you know, kind of like the last ditch effort. I think they're just going to ride this out. And I mean, if something does come up in the foreseeable future, then, you know, they'll entertain that. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Pursuit, this is kind of like a trial for Pursuit. I mean, if things don't go the way that they planned, I mean, it could easily be looking for another home.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for them to even keep searching. But yeah, having the non-exclusive also pertains to the fact that they can, like with Pop, part of the contract was that they had to wait 2 weeks before they could host the show anywhere else on their own, like GWN. With a non-exclusive deal, we might just as well get the show the next day on the GWN or on their official YouTube or whatever, because there's no exclusivity to Pursuit. So having that openness could really be cool, because then you could say, hey, it's on the GWN, you know, maybe 48 hours later, whatever it is.
Just to add to that, because every country has a different exclusivity deal. So over in the
Yeah.
UK, for example, we have it within, as soon as it airs on the UK, on Spike UK, it goes up on the GWN app. In other countries, I think it's like 24 hours. I was down in Mexico in Cancun, and just the week that they got the deal to air it in Mexico, and I think it was like 48 hours after there that it appeared on the GWN app. So yeah, I think that's what it's referring to, and I think that's a good thing, because if people can't afford to add it to their network package, then at least they can still keep up with the show on the GWN app.
Yeah, and the idea is that they're still producing a televised product weekly that will air wherever it airs. But the fact that the company is still going towards producing televised product rather than saying, we have no TV, so everything's a house show that happens to have a camera on. You're still producing for TV. So you're still going to get that quality that they're producing for television. And that's the key, making sure that there is a televised product to still like gather around and for us to all come watch. Wherever we watch it, that's the question, whether it's on Pursuit or GWN or YouTube, whatever. But they're still producing TV, and that the key here was leaving Pop, that they stay with something that's still being, they stay with the momentum that they've built with Anthem. That, hey, we're doing television production in a much better way, higher quality with this new regime, et cetera, et cetera.
And bottom line, if this is a case of survival mode, like landing wherever they could for now, let me tell you something, folks. This could be a lot worse. They could have not gotten a TV deal. They could have gotten canceled off Pop. They could be gone. So don't have that bad taste in your mouth of, oh, yeah, they're not on a good network. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm let down that they're not on True TV. I fell for it. I took it hook, line, and sinker. And now clearly I'm thinking back, like, well, that clearly wouldn't have happened. And BQ was saying that from day one, by the way. Gotta give the boss props. When he's right, he's right. He was saying that there's no way they're going to a True TV or a Sci-Fi. And unfortunately, that's how it panned out. Now, I'm just figuring out here, are they looking to get themselves more digital and go in the internet direction? Or are they really looking towards an even bigger TV network? I don't know. But if they could get the GWN app working where they could get the episodes uploaded immediately, it'll help them out so much. Or use YouTube. Their YouTube channel is probably their biggest platform that they have currently, at least I think. They could use their YouTube channel. There's many other things they could do. But I don't want people to just give up on the company because they're on Pursuit. It's like, where have you been the past few years? Like, you're just getting disappointed now. I mean, these things happen, but as fans, we all have to stand together and just take it on the chin and keep marching, because don't let these things distract you from the fact that, like, the Don Callis, Scott D'Amore era has righted so many of the wrongs and got the product in such a, in my opinion, great, edgy. I love the new product. I love where the show is. And as fans, that's really all we should be concerned about.
Can I just say add to that? This has been a beautiful moment for this whole segment, by the way, because it started off with Carl being really quite down on this deal. And by the end of it, it was like, it's a wonderful life. He's seen what could have happened. Somewhere.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It is.
The ghost of Impact's past.
Maybe the fallen angel's got his wings. There you go. That's a nice one.
The ghost of Impact's past took me and showed me, well, Kyle, this is reality without Impact. See what would have happened if Impact canceled? This is the ghost of Impact's past. That's what this is, Adam. Good call.
Good call. Talking of which, going to social media, going to your network stations. I went to social media, a little Twitter feed called We Talk Impact. Check it out, guys. They asked a question this week. Which one of you is it, by the way? Is that Trent or Carr who does that?
Actually, Kyle.
Me, Trent pops on here and there, though. It's kind of a group effort.
The question I wanted to bring up, if the Christopher Daniels free agent rumors end up being true, would you like to see the Apple TV drinking Impact veteran return home? Why did you ask that question? Anyone who doesn't want to see Christopher Daniels back in an Impact ring is an idiot. There you go.
See, this is a great direction to put us in now. Now we can finally leave the Pursuit stuff in the rear view and talk about some more things here. Adam, I'm glad you brought that up, because I love to ask our listeners, the loungers, the Impact tribe, I love to, engage them and pick their brains. And I want to know, maybe some people are more in the thought process of, I want new, fresh, young guys. I don't want to see any old TNA veterans. But then you have the old school TNA fans like Trent, who have been watching since day one. They love guys like Christopher Daniels, and they want their veterans to come back home. Now, me personally, Adam, I'm going to give you my quick opinion and then pass it to everybody. I want to see Christopher Daniels come home because it's his home. Just like I said, I want to see him come home because he never got that closure. His run didn't end the way it was supposed to, in my opinion. And I just like to see him maybe wrap up his career in Impact Wrestling. I think it's about that time. He's an older guy. This could be the good run for him to, hang the boots up, in my opinion.
Just very quickly to add on that, I would give him a kind of Ric Flair, if he loses a match, he'll retire kind of thing from Impact Wrestling, because he can still go. And for me, he's most probably my favorite all-time TNA star. I just think he was awesome. He should have got a title run other than the X Division. He should have got the top belt at some point. I don't think he ever did. But I'd even welcome him back in a capacity as Bad Influence again. Bring back Kaz with him. I would welcome that back. That they were during the Aces and Eights stuff, which, by the way, I loved Aces and Eights, one of my all-time favorite factions. I know they're derided, they're hated by everyone. Ro and I did a show on it, but I love them. But they were doing their own thing during the Aces Eight thing, and they were brilliant. Bad Influence was fantastic.
Hey, did you guys invite Trent to some of those throwback shows? The guy loves talking old school. Spike
throw me on those
before
guys.
That. Throw him in there, please. That's not my strong thing. That's all Trent. So next time you guys do some throwback stuff, please invite Trent onto the show.
Absolutely.
Guys, I'm going to say, you mentioned Aces and Eights being hated, but I don't know, man. During the heyday, I went to the first live Impact on the road when it was here in Chicago. And I'll tell you, man, the way you see Bullet Club t-shirts in Ring of Honor crowds, everybody had an Aces and Eights shirt on in that crowd, man. I think when the reveal happened, it popped it, and then it just kind of, then it naturally kind of had its fizzle because it just got overwhelmed, like any faction does. Like, even somebody was telling me the Bullet Club's played out, and people are over that. So it just happens to any faction. But I think at its peak, dude, I don't know. I saw thousands of Aces and Eights t-shirts. I still proudly wear mine, by the way. I saw thousands in the audience. People loved it. And I don't think it's as hate. I think in the lexicon, when you look back, it's not... it's there's so many other factions to put above it, but I think for the time it was very cool, man. I dug it. I'm a huge Aces and Eights fan.
Yeah, I think about as far as with the Fallen Angel, excuse me, he'd be one of the people I wouldn't mind seeing back since he's an original, and I think he's somebody you could slot in the main event, because you look at the main event scene right now, and with our current champion Johnny Impact, he's soon gonna run out of challengers. I mean, he has this match coming up with Cage, and I guess you still got Cross and maybe Moose, and one would hope Eli Drake down the road. But I think if you can bring back some of the former TNA stars from the past and have them work the main event, that not only helps the main event, but you can help elevate young talent, have them work with the younger talent that they're trying to push to get to that main event status. So if they can sign him, I wouldn't mind them bringing him back, but give him a shot, honest shot in the main event.
I think I'm sorry, I didn't get to put my opinion on the Chris Daniels thing, but yeah, it's you need those veterans too. Like every company banks on having that veteran in the locker room to kind of be that guide and be that anchor to show young guys what it's like and really like have those like marquee matches with it's a fantasy match. I never thought I'd see, I don't know, maybe Johnny versus Chris Daniels. But if that happens, that's awesome. That's cool because Chris Daniels was that top guy for so many years, and he could still go. So I would totally welcome him back. He's one of the best of all time. I love Christopher Daniels, and it's only fitting that he ends his career in Impact. It just makes sense.
Oh, yeah. And we're lobbying for it right here on the Impact Lounge, folks. Give him the veteran deal. I'd bring him in with Kazarian, give him a nice tag team run, give us Bad Influence versus LAX, give us what we want, break them up, put Daniels in the direction of he can't sleep at night because he never won that Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. There's a new guard. There's a new regime. It's a new time. He's an old dog, but he could still go. Put him in that story. I think you could make for some beautiful storytelling, especially since he's a day one guy that never got it.
Just before moving on away from Fallen Angel, if you brought him back as in Bad Influence, assuming that the Lucha Brothers win the tag titles off LAX at Homecoming, and we'll talk about that in a little moment, but assuming they did, they desperately need some characters to carry a feud to go up against. Oh, yeah. And Bad Influence fits that. Can you just imagine the fun they would have with the Lucha Brothers?
Take my money.
Yeah,
Take
exactly.
my money if that gets booked. Take my money.
Somebody replaced the Modelo with Appletinis.
Anyway, just final thing on Aces and Eights, by the way, for any of our younger listeners who didn't watch it during that time, go back and check out the funeral of Aces and Eights. To
Oh.
me, one of my favorite segments, other than possibly the woo off in TNA, but the funeral of Aces and Eights was fantastic. Go and check
Actually,
it out.
the Aces and Eights reveal, when they revealed Bully as the guy, that the reveal episode to me was phenomenal. That flashback and how they revealed all those like hints they would drop throughout the year, and you're like, holy shit, I didn't pick up on any of that. And then you're like, damn. To me, the reveal. I remember talking about that with friends for weeks afterwards. Just like how perfectly that was done.
The best bit about that reveal, by the way, what to me wasn't the way that they dropped the hints, was that how they managed to shoehorn every screw up that happened along the way and make it comprehensible. You know,
Yeah.
it was genius. And the same even with the Brooke bit, where she fucked up on Twitter, and then they just replaced it with Brooke Test Matcher instead. Fantastic. The creative team during that time worked miracles. Worked absolute miracles.
Fantastic.
Anyway, yeah. So Fallen Angel, yeah. Check out We Talk Impact on Twitter, and of course our ones. Thank you for all the new followers who dropped us trivia questions. By the way, I didn't get one DM with a trivia question to ask on the next show, although I did get a DM of a guy doing squats and thrusts naked in his gym, but that's another story.
Merry Christmas.
That's for Adam's book.
Jingle those bells.
Anyway, let's move on to let's very quickly before we go on to Homecoming. Let's have a quick round the table of Wrestler of the Year in Impact for you. Who has been your favorite star this year?
Go ahead. Start off.
I know I said this already. I'd probably say Sami Callihan. Here's somebody who came in. Originally he was he's still part of OVE, but they seem to do a great job, or not as much a great job, but they like to make it known that it's Sami Callihan and the Chris brothers are OVE. But he's came on board, and man, he's given us some moments and some matches. So I'm still kind of bummed that he didn't defeat Cage for the X Division title, but by far, I think he's the Wrestler of the Year.
Trent,
yeah.
How about yourself?
Man, I'm gonna go with it might be a little soon to put him as Wrestler of the Year, but I'm a Killer Cross guy, man. I'm gonna go with Killer Cross. I think this guy has ignited something as far as being a homegrown guy. Like, I mean, obviously he's not a rookie that started at Impact, but I see the buzz he gets, and it's pretty interesting to see how cool he's being associated with Impact. Like, everybody's kind of, he's an Impact guy, and that's what they're fixing on. And I love that. I love that he is becoming like this presence in Impact. So like I said, it might be a little early to call him Wrestler of the Year, but I feel like he has made the impression on me this year that no others have.
Kyle?
Ooh, I was doing some deep thinking there that whole time. You know what? One thing that me and Trent spend so much time talking about on our podcast is that Impact's roster is so loaded, in the sense that you got so many guys that are just doing the work of their career right now, and they're all ready to jump up to that big next top spot. So like I think about Sami Callihan and how he's rose to the top. He's doing the work of his career currently. I think about Moose, who, in my opinion, came into 2018 very bland, and by the end of it became just this whole other character. So many people did great things in Impact Wrestling this year, but Wrestler of the Year, I'm gonna get the heel heat for this one, boys. So we're gonna get a lot of boos, but somebody has to step up and do it. So I'm gonna be that guy.
I think I know where
Wrestler of
it's
the
going.
Year.
I'm gonna go for the same
Johnny
guy.
Impact.
No.
Impact.
I thought you were going to go for Austin Aries on that
I
one.
thought I was going to say Austin Aries.
Nope. You know what? A lot of people here are going to attack me. I noticed the loungers aren't big on Johnny Impact, but hey, man, he's Mr. Impact. Fell short on Survivor. That's okay. But, he brought some mainstream headlines into the company, whatever. I think he's a hell of a wrestler. I think he puts on great matches. I think he's got a good look. He's got a hot wife. He's the man. I want to be that guy. That's the guy when I turn on TV. Oh, man, I would love to be that guy right there. Johnny's got it all. Maybe
so much
not
about
the
Kyle
mic
right now.
skills. I think he needs to brush up on the promos a little bit. I think that's been a common critique. But putting on a great match and entertaining the fans, you're going to go with Johnny Impact. That's my pick.
Well, as you didn't go for him, I am going to go for Austin Aries. And I know that will be just as unpopular, but I can't think of a match that he had this year that wasn't great to fantastic. Everyone he faced, big or small, he put on a masterclass. He made feuds which were on paper absolute shite. For example, the Moose feud. Even Alberto, when he was at the company, he made every feud he was in seem interesting. And even the way he's departed, whether he has or not, we still don't know. It was interesting and got people talking. So for me, although he hasn't been here for 2-3 months, it's Austin Aries for me.
Now he walked away from the pay-per-view, pal. I'm not letting it slide.
I was considering that answer too. I really was, Adam. The guy did do great work this year, man. I just I didn't put him down because I figured I don't know if he's still considered part of the roster or not. I don't know. That's the thing. So we'll see. But he did fantastic work this year.
Okay, very quickly. Sorry, bro.
If I could just add something with the Austin Aries, and you tell me if you guys agree or not. I mean, I'm not going to dismiss what he did for Impact this year, but do you think with his title reign, because I think towards the later part of his title reign, that's when we started seeing the ratings dip. Do you think his title reign went on a little bit too long?
No. I'll answer that. No, not at all. I would have liked to have seen what would have gone on with the faction that they made. I think that had legs in it, and they cut that way too short. So no, I don't think it went on too long.
I think
agree.
You're all wrong. I think Austin Aries is a piece of shit. I think he ruined the Hall of Fame ceremony for Abyss, and I think he ruined Bound for Glory's main event.
No, I agree with that. Now I'm not shying away from that, but I'm just thinking. You think about he drops the title to Pentagon, and then he gains it back, and then he carries it all the way up until Bound for Glory, and then like you said with that weekend, I was so sour on that because that whole weekend he took away 2 defining moments in Abyss's Hall of Fame induction, and then Johnny Impact finally capturing a world championship.
Well, just to pick up on that, I might agree with you in 6 months' time when we know whether this was a work or a shoot. If it's a work, then let's face it, Joseph Abyss is in on it. He's an agent. He helps them with the booking, so he most probably okayed it. So I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about there, Adam. Wrestling's real. I don't know. I don't know what this approach you're taking to it is. Wrestling is real.
All right, very quickly then, just around the table, knockout of the year.
Ooh, this is a good one. Go ahead, Bro. Start it off.
You guys are making me duplicate answers. I'll say Tessa. She came in. I mean, from the moment that we seen her in the announce booth or commentary, I'm sorry, at Redemption up until now, man, she's been killing it. So yeah, Tessa.
100% Tessa. No question about it. This is I made a bold statement the other day, and I said I think she might surpass her father, as far as being the better wrestler. I think she's fantastic. She is so damn good at what she does that I essentially challenge any knockout to get to her level at that. Dude, seeing her live is a whole other perspective too. I mean, she's so good, man. Tessa, 200%.
Kyle?
I can't pick that cheater. She cheated. She cheated out Taya how many times? I'm approaching these things from a very storyline perspective. So I'm not going to give Taya the knockout of the year award because she's a cheater. She's a
Shut up,
round.
Kyle, you were on your feet cheering for her at Bound for Glory. I looked over at you in the second row, and you were on your feet cheering for her, even when she cheated against Ty. Don't pull this shit on us. You were all up on that.
When I see people do dishonest things, I do, Trent. But no, you know what? I'm gonna be that guy, and a knockout of the year, the entire knockouts division. Let me say why before you go off. He's doing that. Yes, I am doing that because what they managed to do this year with the Undead Realm and write a storyline that involved that many people and have a cycle where people are coming in and out of the storyline and it's still going on right now. I just think it's a work of just like creative genius that nobody's giving Impact their props for this entire Undead Realm storyline that they're currently doing with the knockouts. Nobody's talking about it for whatever reason. I happen to think it's some of the most cool, cutting edge, just creative, different wrestling television programming I've ever seen. And like a lot of you geeks, I've spent a whole lot of time watching it. So I want to give the entire Knockouts division you got to give Jimmy Jacobs some credit too. He was doing a Q&A on his Instagram page just 2 days ago, I think it was, and just openly on Instagram Live answering questions about the behind-the-scenes work at Impact Wrestling. He was saying that within like 1 week, they just wrote 6 weeks of television. That's crazy. But he talked about the Undead Realm and everything that went into it. And I just think it's a very special thing. In my opinion, more special than anything Tessa has done this year. So I'm going with the Knockouts division as a whole, but specifically the Undead Realm storyline. And I know you can't, that's not a knockout, but it is to me, damn it.
Just to follow up on that, Kyle, I'm always a very big proponent of storyline based as opposed to wrestling based products. So I agree with you. I think the whole Undead Realm stuff has been fantastic. But I'm going to agree with the other guys that to me, not only is Tessa the best knockout, she also should win the Trent and Kyle Booty of the Year. That's my opinion.
All right.
There you go.
Oh, there's a way that she could cheat to win that one. I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast, though.
All right.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Me Too movement. It was a joke.
Jesus. Listenership just dropped 30%. Who am I kidding? It's not like women watch wrestling. What the hell am I talking about?
Anyway, so just 2 more categories are going to go for Feud of the Year. So we'll go the other direction. Trent, we'll start with you, then Kyle.
Man, Feud of the Year. This was an interesting year for feuds. I think it was. We had a lot going on. A lot of people were really tied together this year, which I really enjoyed. And I love long feuds. I love how things blossom over time and how things really take shape. And I'm gonna go honest. I'm gonna stick with I might stick with knockouts here, guys. And I normally don't do this, but the Tessa and Taya feud's been fantastic. Having a series of matches like that, and where they just keep pumping it month to month. There's more and more, and there's another level of it, and they're more and more pissed off at each other. And now we're getting a culmination at another pay-per-view. I enjoyed the. I was never a big women's wrestling fan, but I really enjoyed how this has been built very nicely to coming into Homecoming. So I'm gonna go with Tessa and Taya for a feud of the year.
Over to you, Kyle.
Feud of the year, huh? It's such a tough question because, like I just mentioned with the Undead Realm, how that storyline cycled and other people came in and out of it. I think about the Eddie Edwards storyline. I think of Sami Callihan, Moose, Tommy Dreamer, the way people came in and out of that one as well. But you can't really put your finger on that as a specific feud. My feud of the year, fellas, is going to be LAX versus the OGs. I think it was just perfectly executed. I loved how you saw a young guy like Kingston shine in the whole program. The old LAX coming in and passing the torch to the new LAX. It's just perfectly executed, beginning to end. I loved the stuff they shot for it in between, every single promo, clubhouse, concrete jungle, street fights, whatever you want to call it. I loved it. LAX versus OGs, feud of the year from the Kyle Man.
And I'm going to go with the whole Callahan and Eddie Edwards. I'm sure that's probably a popular one a lot of people go with, but the fact that they were able to get so much out of something that was an accident. And I mean, credit to Impact, because they could have easily, played it as, hey, this was just a one-off, however they, any company would want to cover up something like that, but they rolled with it, much to, early public, I don't want to say disappointment, but, a lot of people weren't on board, I should say. And then they were able to turn it into an angle and get a lot of, not only matches, but a lot of great stuff out of it. So I'd go with that.
That's a good one.
Well, just to to discount some of the ones that you came up with. The reason why I'm not picking them, I should say, the OGs one, fantastic feud, but they needed a win and they didn't get one, and it didn't need the belts, and that's the only reason why it wasn't the feud for me. But it was fantastic work. It just didn't need the belts on the line, and the OGs just didn't ever seem like threats, other than when they were driving cars at young Richie, or whatever his name was.
Richie, poor Richie.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Then the Tessa Ty one, although it's been a good feud, it came out of nowhere, which kind of why once again I'm going to dismiss that one. I agree with Ro. I think Eddie and Sammy have been fantastic, and I would have gone for that. But personally speaking, my favorite feud, even though it never finished and it didn't happen, was probably Alberto versus Austin Aries. I loved the way that was going, and it was just a shame it just never finished off, which leads me into the next one. What do you think has been the worst, lowest point of fail, or whatever you want to do it? Biggest screw up by Impact this year? Could be an angle, could be the hiring of someone, could be an in-ring segment. What do you reckon?
I'll take that one. On that note, the Alberto debacle altogether. It wasn't their screw up, but I don't know, putting the faith in the guy. I mean, he performed well, but man, what a disappointment that was. I love how they made, to quote the old term, they made chicken salad out of chicken shit at the New Orleans show and turned it into something really cool, which eventually ended up leading us into redemption also. But man, that was such a letdown, man. I know everybody was hoping that it was some kind of work shoot, I should say, and it wasn't, and it was a complete flop. Blame Alberto, of course, but man, what a letdown, especially on like the biggest wrestling weekend of the year. Again, they made the best out of it because that three-way match with Phoenix, Pentagon, and Aries was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And again, led us into redemption. But the whole Alberto debacle was my biggest low point of the year.
Kyle?
Now, a lot of people are going to comment and say, no, Kyle, you're wrong. This is a positive. You got trolled. But I got to say, leading us all to believe that Chris Jericho was coming at Bound for Glory, which me and Trent were in the front row for. We paid a lot of money to go to that show. Thinking that Chris Jericho was going to come out, and instead we got the alleged pedophile James Ellsworth. Yeah, that was a letdown for me. That was a letdown. It was a
guys. Ball. I'll tell you too, Adam and Rowe, being there live, that took the steam out of that segment, man. When that idiot was announced, it was like, come on, man.
They trolled us. They got us. They did. But it's a lot of people were counting on Chris Jericho, and maybe not just that night, but a lot of people were counting on Chris Jericho coming to Impact Wrestling in 2018, and it didn't happen. It still could in 2019, but 2018, no Chris Jericho.
I'll tell you guys real quick before we get Rose here. I was backstage at Bound for Glory, and I was in the locker room hanging with some of the guys, and I looked over and I saw Ellsworth warming up, and I was like, I wonder what that guy's doing here. Maybe I'm like, maybe he's just hanging out, or maybe he's gonna do a run-in, maybe it's gonna be a comedy spot, whatever. And I didn't think it was gonna be, against Eli Drake. I was like, and then I saw that, I was like, son of a bitch, I should have known better. I should have found out. I should have warned people. I should have told somebody. I should have warned the audience something. I could have spared us that few minutes, but
even weirder because I saw him by the Chuck E. Cheese over on the corner there on 63rd Street earlier that day. So I don't know.
And moving on to Rose's opinion.
I don't know. I think the low point for me, and we touched on this earlier. I really thought the whole Austin Aries no selling at Bound for Glory after being defeated by Johnny Impact, and I know some people think, well, it's a work, whatever like that. I just thought it was the wrong place and wrong time to do that. Yeah. I would have rather personally Johnny pins him. He stays on the mat for a little bit. Now, if he still wanted to walk out cussing out Don and stuff, that's fine. But to do that on pay-per-view, I just kind of felt like that was a low point, at least in my eyes.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think it's a good shout. My one is just going to be Eli Drake is the low point this year. And not for Eli Drake. He's brilliant. Everything he does is fantastic. I interviewed him. Great guy. Really like the guy. Just they re-signed him They took the belt off him because they didn't know if he was going to resign. They re-signed him, and they've given him a year of shit. And so, and there's no other way to describe it. You put him on a 2-year contract, and you waste the first year. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Adam, I didn't even bring that up because it's like a painful subject that I just want to bury away and just try to forget, you know. But it's so fucked up how. What was the point of re-signing him? Why? Why did they do that?
Well, they don't want to lose him, that's for sure. They don't want him to go. They don't want to go somewhere else. That's why
they didn't. They didn't invest in him. They did nothing with him.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. And if I could just add on with that and see, that's the reason why, you know, sometimes when people ask, "Oh, who would you like to see?" Do know every time they bring someone on board, that's someone who, you know, whether they're, you know, in middling trying to move up, and he's been at the top of the card, it pushes them back. And, you know, the optimism that at least I have, I don't know if you guys share the same optimism, is eventually we're going to get Eli challenging Johnny Impact. That's the hope. But I mean, you look at the way he's been booked. I mean, there's really no way to actually believe that, but that's the optimism that at least I have.
If you want to play like that and like really look at the timeline of everything he's done and judge it based on that, which we never really do in wrestling, we like to look towards things in whatever era is going on, you know, quarter to quarter. But if you look at Eli Drake's Impact story, he's really just a loser that lost a lot, but cheated successfully just one time, you know.
Well, you know, they could have done so much more with him this year. You know, you could have had a proper feud with Steiner. You could have done something. Instead, they give him Joe Hendry and Grado, who have now disappeared as well. It's been a waste of a year. And hopefully, as Rose said, he will get another shot and he'll take the title off Johnny.
Hey, whatever happened to Joe Hendry?
No idea.
He had
visa
issues. No, I'm sorry, Rogue. Yeah, what Rogue was saying, visa issues.
Yeah. Anyway, final one before we get into the predictions for the show. We've been going a long time already, but what was I going to say? Moment of the year. What was your moment of the year? And mine's going to be the same as Trent or Kyle's. I've got a feeling it's going to be the same imagery that, because you mentioned it on your show last week. But what's your favorite moment of the year?
Kick it off, Ro.
I'll just go recent, and maybe just because it's someone I've been following, but really it was seeing Johnny Impact finally win the Impact World Championship, only because we've seen him get so many shots in the past, and I kind of felt leading up to Bound for Glory, it was now or never for him. If he doesn't win it then he's never going to win it, and for him to finally capture it. And you know what? He's been a fine champion. I've really enjoyed his reign thus far.
Do you think Did it was the payoff good when he did get that title? Do you feel like you were satisfied though getting that? Like as far as all the build and everything?
Well, only because I think too what I was carrying is just because, you know, following him and where he used to be, and you know, he never kind of really got that shot. He'd have a handful of matches, but he really just worked the mid card. And I thought coming on board to Impact, we've seen in the past, and I always bring up Christian Cage as a prime example of a guy who was pigeonholed in one slot in one company. He comes over, he gets a shot to work the main event, and he thrives in it. So for him to do that, you know, finally get the opportunity, and not only that, but actually get to win. And, you know, I just really wanted to see how he could do. And I just, you know, so far so good. I've been impressed.
Interesting. Kyle, take that next. I want to hear yours.
Tough.
We lose Kyle?
Tough. No, I'm here. It's tough. How do I boil it down to one moment of the year? It's been such a great year in Impact Wrestling. It really has. Not to insert dead audio here, but fellas, I don't think I can pick one.
It's tough. There was a lot of highlights this year. How about you, Adam? Tell yours.
Well, it's the one that you mentioned on the review last week. It's where Killer Cross looks over his shoulder after choking out
absolutely
P.D. Williams and just saying, I think you're going to need to call the cops or something like that. To me, perfect intro to the character, the just the visualization of it, and you know, the camera work, the lighting, the music, everything was just absolutely perfect and told you everything that you needed to know about the character without knowing nothing.
Spot on. Yeah, that to me was one of the best debuts and introductions, and I loved it. To me, it was like this guy has arrived, and it was really cool, man. But if I could interject another moment, like a feel good, like one that really tugged at my dark heartstrings here. I'm gonna say
Scarlett Bordeaux's debut when she licked the microphone. I was tugging on my strings all night after that one.
There we go. Well, there's Kyle's answer. I'm gonna say I was personally in the audience for it, but Abyss's Hall of Fame induction to me was the one that moved me emotionally. Because, dude, I'll admit it to you guys in the world right now, man. I was in the room during the Hall of Fame, and I was tearing up, and I looked over at my girlfriend, and she looked at me, and she's like, "This really hits you, huh?" I'm like, I watched this guy from day one, and the speech he gave, just, dude, that was it. I was moved emotionally from that one. So, Mrs. Hall of Fame induction is the one that's special in my heart. But
I think that's a great way to finish off 2018 on that visual of you crying like a little girl.
I was. I will not even deny. I was standing next to a very big Impact fan, Miguel Contreras, as everybody knows.
Oh yeah.
I was next to Miguel on one side, and I was next to my girlfriend on the other. And I think they were both. They both saw me and kind of gave me that like reassuring like nod, like it's all right. We know. Well,
let's move on to 2019, and I believe you've got the card up from Homecoming. Let's do a quick rundown of the predictions. I think we'll call it a night.
Okay, here we go. So it is announced as of today. So as of the best of part 1 episode of Impact. So as of this Thursday's show is all we know so far. So I'll list off the matches and we'll start going one by one. What do you guys say?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so we're gonna have Moose and Eddie Edwards. It's gonna be I believe it's a no holds barred match. It's not listed on my list here, but we also have a Monsters Ball with Eli Drake and Tommy Dreamer. Oh, I'm sorry, Eli Drake and Abyss. I'm sorry about that. And Knockouts Championship match, Tessa Blanchard and Taya with Gail Kim to serve as a special referee. We have LAX taking on the Lucha Brothers for the Impact Tag Team Championship. And we have the X Division title, which is currently vacant, going to be defended or going to be won by somebody in an Ultimate X match. Participants include Rich Swann, Jake Christ of OVE, Ethan Page, and Trey Miguel of the Rascals. And the main event, Impact World Championship match, Johnny Impact versus Brian Cage. And this is as a result of Cage cashing in his X Division Championship for Option C. So, guys, let's kick it off with Moose Eddie Edwards. What do you guys think? Take it, Ro.
I'm gonna go with Eddie in this one, and I'm assuming this is to blow off the feud. Not that I would have a problem if they extend it, but I just think with Eddie being committed to what was it? What's the name of the facilities?
Shady Acres.
It's also
Shady
where
Acres.
Kyle is currently presiding. Shady Acres.
I've spent many a season at the Shady Acres.
And maybe we get a Raven interference to aid Eddie, but I'm going with Eddie in that one.
It just occurred to me that possibly that Kyle was talking about the inmates, and when he said he had 40 White Russians last night. Maybe that's what it was we were talking about at Shady Acres.
Yeah, what is going on over there, Kyle? Jesus, I don't even want to know anymore.
Yeah, it's gotten dark real quick. So I got an idea for this match that just popped up in my head. You guys got to hear this. Now, I'm thinking in my head, it might change. It might not be Eli Drake versus Abyss in a traditional Monsters Ball match. Card subject to change. You have these side characters like Tommy Dreamer and Raven that have popped into this story. That Eli Drake crusading against the old spirit of hardcore wrestling. He's against everything hardcore. So how about they make this? This is whacked out, but just hear me out. How about they make this like a lumberjack match where you put, I was thinking all the old ECW hardcore geezers, all the legendary hardcore guys from ECW, TNA, whoever, get all the geezers on the outside, strap them with weapons, barbed wire bats, do a lumberjack match like that. But then my buddy Adam over here mentioned the inmates, and I just pictured a bunch of crazy inmates around the ring. You know what I mean? Eddie brings the inmates with him. You could get a bunch of young guys from a local wrestling school, put some hospital gowns on them. You get yourself a hell of a match there.
Not bad.
Sounds like
If I could add something here, if they really wanted to do something crazy, will him out in a straitjacket, and he has one of those Hannibal Lecter masks.
Yes. The Shady Acres lumberjack match. Yes.
I'd be down. I'd be down for that.
The last straight jacket match I was going to say was what was his name? Kennedy
Shaw.
versus Shaw, wasn't it? But I was going
Yeah.
to say the other one I had in my mind was Heidenreich for some reason. This is before he then attacked Michael Cole in one of the most disturbing sequences I've ever seen.
I would love to see Eli Drake in the straitjacket back at Shady Acres after everything, because he's the real psycho, just dummy, Eli Drake interacting with all the inmates strapped up. He's the real sociopath. That's funny.
Take my money now. Take my money now. But that would be good actually, an inmate match, and then I can see a Raven run in at the end, either turning on Eddie or helping him against Moose. One of the two.
One of the two. I think this is going for Eddie for sure. It's false count anywhere match. I think I said no holds barred, but false count anywhere. So this is gonna go all over the Asylum. I'm already predicting that to happen. So who knows who's gonna be coming out of where? Because if you guys remember, in the old the Asylum days in TNA, there was a second entrance / locker room area where you'd have Sports Entertainment Extreme used to be inside, and they used to hang out in there, and there'd be a lot of run-ins through there. I would not be surprised if through that second locker room entrance area you have some cool run-ins come through during the Falls Count Anywhere. So I'm putting that out there.
It plays in with the Asylum, Shady Acres.
Absolutely. It's
it
the
makes
Asylum.
sense.
It has to.
And Trent wants to bring back Sonny Sayaki any chance possible. Trent's been talking about this for years and years.
Just very quickly, do you think we'll get the dancing girls in the cage?
I think so. I'm calling it. At least one. You got to get at least one in there. It has to be one for that throwback.
One thing is certain, though. Always remember this: if Raven is involved, someone will fill the DDT. I don't know if you guys remember that.
And if Raven's involved, he's not walking away from Tommy Dreamer's friends. If you know Raven, Tommy Dreamer, if he's around that night, he's catching the DDT for sure.
Has to.
It's not right if it doesn't.
The feud that has gone on since 1994, man. Tommy Dreamer, Raven, has to keep going on. Absolutely. All right. Next one, guys. Eli Drake, Abyss, Monsters Ball. I know, Kyle, you already had some opinions on that one. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think where this is going? Ro?
Man, what's so tough about this? I'm going to go with Eli on this one because I think he needs to win. But my question is, how can they design this match where Eli comes out on top but doesn't look like a goof? Because I do think this would be one of those matches where everyone we've seen Eli interact with, whether it's Tommy Dreamer or Raven, I guess if Raven appears in Eddie's match, it wouldn't make sense to have him come back to back. But, hardcore legends of yesteryear come in and, try to aid in Abyss, trying to pretty much educate Eli about hardcore wrestling. But if Eli gets to win but looks like a goof, does that really help Eli? So I don't know. I'm gonna go with Eli, but I just find myself wondering, how do they do this without him coming out looking, even though in victory, looking like a goof?
I have a quick. Can I interject on that? I have an answer. I have an opinion answer idea. Let me know what you guys think about this. You make Eli and Abyss the match right before Eddie and Moose, so you have the run-ins. I mean, you have this tie-in to Raven being the hook between Eli showed up at the Asylum, at Shady Acres. Raven has a stake with Eddie. Also, you have Raven show up at the end to maybe start beating up Abyss, whatever it is. Eli wins. You have somewhere Raven comes in, does something. Maybe Eddie comes in after that, moves, and then that match blends in and starts. Very ECW style where one match piggybacks starting off the last one. So you kind of have to make it a little creative. I think that's the way.
If Abyss needs any backup, I know a certain crazy guy named Steve that I don't think is signed to anywhere right now.
Who I think lives in Nashville too, by the way.
Just putting that out there. Five loungers, you heard it. I didn't know this. Trent is speculating that Crazy Steve lives in Nashville.
No, I think that's confirmed.
They have his phone number. Putting it out there.
Maybe they could go outside, to tie in with the Pursuit Channel and then find out some dusty old Cadillac, and they open up and Bram comes out from the boot and does a run in as well.
He just moved back to Nashville.
Hey, Cletus, what's in this car?
But yeah,
Anyway.
it's but that's my thought on that one. But go ahead, Adam. Take
No,
that
no,
one.
I agree. I can see Abyss winning because, let's face it, at this point, Eli doesn't need to win. I know Rose said he needs to win. He does to build his character, but this match means nothing. You know, in the win and losses at this point in Eli's career, it doesn't make any difference. He can still lose this match next week, be in the title scene. So I think, Abyss is Hall of Fame, possibly his last match. I know you're supposed to lose your last match, but I can see him winning this, and then the feud never being mentioned again, and Eli goes on to something else.
Okay, all right, fair enough. What do you think we got? Next one is the LAX take on the Lucha Brothers for the Tag Team Championship. Where do we think this one's going? Kyle, let's go the other direction. Kyle, let's start with you on this one.
Now, we've talked about this a lot on our weekly review, Trent.
Yes.
Conan splits off from LAX. Or are they just tricking me into thinking that, They love to do that, right? I notice wrestling writers love to do that. They love to push something in the direction of something, make you think something is definitely going to happen, and then quite the opposite goes down. But he's been real fishy lately, man. You really got to keep your eyes on Conan. I do, with a clear conscience, say that I think that Conan is going to turn on LAX at Homecoming and leave with the Lucha Brothers, who are also going to leave with the belts. That's what I think.
Interesting.
And Conan working in MLW as the heel manager of the Lucha Brothers, he might just be preparing for what he was going to do in Impact. That might be his little, developmental run with working together.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that's what's going to happen exactly to the letter. And I think it will also lead to LAX splitting up and going on a feud, one blaming the other for accepting the match and pushing it. And then, let's face it, Lucha Brothers need a mouthpiece because they can't speak English.
That's a good call. That's a good call, Adam. You could definitely have LAX. It sounds a little like typical TNA, like break up the tag team. But this would be a good moment where you could actually break up the tag team temporarily to tell a good story with them shaking hands and hugging at the end and going back to being LAX, personally. But, Adam, I want to ask you, do you think you could bring Kingston back in at all, just as I told you guys?
I'd love that. I would really love to see Eddie back because he deserves a place on the roster. I mean,
now this is crazy. I want to ask the loungers here. Let's say this goes the way we're all predicting it right now. You put Kingston back in as I told you guys, they went to war together. Their war is over. Could you possibly put Kingston back as like a younger version of what Conan is to both Ortiz and Santana? Like, he was their manager before. And he actually won. He actually helped them win Impact World Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Could you bring Eddie Kingston back into LAX after this feud?
Well, if you're asking me, I think they could. I don't think they will, but I think that it would make sense. It would absolutely make sense. But I'd rather see them split because, let's face it, LAX have got no one left to face as tag team. They've got nothing else to do. So I've always said I thought Santana is going to be the next top guy. I very much see him like a Rock. He's got the look. You put him in a suit, he could be a singles world champ. So,
well, I'm shocked here, man. You're telling me you think that, because I was putting it under the sense of they'll come back at the end and hug. You think LAX should split to split?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Hot take from Adam.
And I also think, by the way, I always used to say Santana was the star of that team. Ortiz has shown more character in the last few months than Santana, on the mic and personality-wise. But I do think Santana will eventually be the breakout single star.
Interesting. Ooh.
Now,
yeah, he is good.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was saying he is real good on his. He had that great that singles match against Phoenix. So we know Santana can go solo. But go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say I think I do have the Lucha Brothers winning. I don't think we see Conan turn on them yet. I think that happens later on, like maybe, they do a rematch at the tapings. I think Conan causes LAX inadvertently, so whether it's a distraction, they're, one of them's arguing with him like, well, whose side you on? And then Lucha Brothers take advantage of that and capture it that way. I will say this, and like I'm kind of on the side with Adam in the sense of if they do a split, I'd go a step further and have Kingston come in and manage one of them as they're, pursuing the single route, and have Kingston manage one. King. I'm sorry, he goes by King now. Have King manage one of them. Which one? I mean, whoever you think needs it. Probably I'd say with Ortiz, because I think Santana could do well enough standing alone by himself. But I'd have King manage Ortiz if they were to go the split route.
Sounds I think I'm going with the Lucha Brothers. I think the turn will happen at Homecoming, so I'm going with Conan turning there just to give it that real big pop, and then I'm gonna say I'm also gonna piggyback on them blaming Ortiz blaming Santana or for taking the match and kind of jump starting and all that. We didn't have to do this, blah 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 blah. One of those things. So I think I'm going with that. I'm going with the turn to happen at Homecoming.
Just very quickly, just while it springs to my mind, the previous matches we mentioned, Davey Richards, I could also possibly see him coming back and helping Eddie Edwards at some point. That's a possibility in that match. And the other thing, I bet you at some point Josh Matthews or Don Callis says, and during the Shady Acres segment where we're going to get some inmates, the inmates have taken over the asylum. I bet you that will be said by one of those commentators.
Hands down. I can see that. Next one, guys. The Ultimate X, the one that I personally know has sold tickets to get the people going down to Nashville with me. That was the match that when they saw that announced, they immediately bought their tickets. Ultimate X, Jake Christ, Ethan Page, Rich Swann, Trey Miguel, the return of the Ultimate X in the place that started the Asylum. What do you guys think? X Division title on the line. Kyle, started with you. What do you think?
I'm going with some ego here, man. Ethan Page.
Really? Interesting.
What?
Oh, man. Nobody I've talked to has picked ego at all. And
I'm
said
going
he's
for it, man. He's
got
that third eye power, bro. I'm telling you, believe in the third eye.
He was the oddball for me because I started thinking he's the bigger one. He's the heavier one out of it. He's like the least high flyer. And for him to be in was the strange thing to me. That's interesting, man. All right. We'll go with that. Adam, what do you think?
Actually, I was thinking that until I realized Brian Cage had a big guy run right before him. So, I mean, in the timeline of things, I'm undecided. I'll come back to it. You guys keep going.
All right, Adam, take it.
Ethan Page is definitely, for my money, the least likely to win it. Sorry, Kyle. I still don't understand why Page is in there and Seidel wasn't. It should have gone Seidel in that match, but never mind. I don't think it's Trey. I think it was probably going to be one of the Chris brothers. Oh, sorry, which one is it? Jake or Chris?
Jake.
Jake's
Dave. In this one.
Yeah, so Jake. I think it'll be Jake.
Right, one of them needed. I would say that you definitely give it to a Chris brother. I mean, two tremendous talents, but you can't help but think, they get overshadowed by Sammy. So that's a good call, Adam. Probably a little more intelligent than picking Ethan Page.
What do you think, Ro?
Yeah, I'm going with Jake. I think what they could do, because obviously I would say the favorite in this is Swan, but I'm going to go with Jake only because I think there's an opportunity if they wanted a Freebird, the X Division title, where you can have Sammy and Dave all defend at any time, and then go into a feud with Swan and maybe Willie. But my prediction is Willie comes out and he's trying to fend off OVE, and that distracts Swan, and then in it it aids Jake in capturing the X Division Championship.
Just very quickly for the record, I would hate the Freebird defending of that title. I would hate that. I'm not saying it won't happen, and I'm not saying it's not a good idea. Well, I'm saying it's a terrible idea. Sorry, I just don't like that at all. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No worries. The only reason why is because here's the thing, and I've talked about this time and time again. We don't know what the X Division is at this point. I mean, they tell us one thing: it's no limits, and it's a style. But you see, even in this match, I mean, everyone is a cruiserweight except Ethan Page. But I really think they not only the X Division needs to reset, but they need some sort of storyline. Unfortunately, we were robbed of that when they decided to go the option C route instead of letting somebody defeat Brian Cage for the title. So I just kind of think, and it might not be everyone's cup of tea, and I understand, but I just kind of feel like there's so many different avenues they can go with it, let alone the title will be defended and appear on every episode of Impact. We won't go weeks in and weeks out with the champion not being at the tapings.
Yeah, and I think
just before you guys answer, sorry, just a quick question about the X title. Obviously they use option C to go for Johnny Impact's title. Do you think they made a mistake not putting the heavyweight on Brian Cage to begin with and Johnny Impact in the X Division? Do you not think Johnny Impact would have been ideal for the X Division?
I think Johnny would have been perfect, but I think I still stand by Johnny got that title right at that height of Survivor being on and getting a good run with Survivor. I think he was a crossover champion in order to get some little more media buzz, because I know he did mention it on some Survivor press and things like that. So I think he needed to be the hood ornament at the time he got it. It just made sense from a marketing standpoint, from a business standpoint.
Imagine that creative meeting where it's just like, if he wins Survivor, CBS has got to put Impact on. They have to.
Yeah. I'm guys, I'm going to go with where Jake makes sense, because I feel like they've really been building him with the mini draw thing. And off of that, I can see what Ro is saying about kind of like freebirding it, because he's mini draw and he's copying Sammy on everything. So if he wins it, it's like, oh yeah, Sammy can take it and defend it or whatever. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility if they do it right. But I'm going with the favorite on Swan on this one. I think Swan's had a good run. I think it would make sense. They could naturally lead into a feud with Willie Mack too immediately. He could be a first contender for it, depending on what Willie does at the pay-per-view. So I could see it. I could see Swan taking it.
Just very quickly, sidecar. I know I've interrupted you twice before you said your pick here. I would rather Jake win it, and instead of doing Freebird, have Sami Callihan do the finger poke of doom to take the title off him.
Oh, okay.
Right. I would rather that than a Freebird reign.
I could take that. Because in this case, a finger poke of doom type of thing would make sense, because he's mini draw and he'll probably just let Sammy do it or whatever it is. I could totally see that, and it actually would, as goofy as it would be, would actually make some sense, because it's like Jake's like doing it for his hero, his idol he's looking up to. So cool. So Kyle, are you sticking with Ethan Page, man? Are you sticking with Page on this one?
No, I think you all made it quite clear that it's going to be one of the Christ brothers. But if Ethan Page does win, you all have to come on the podcast and sing any Impact theme that I pick. We're going to start doing bets, like sports betting.
I know quite a few words to a lot of Impact theme songs, so I can do that. I can pull that off.
But yeah, no, I probably Jay Chris. That's a good call. But you do have to keep your eyes on Willie Mack, because they're not introducing that story of the Sami Callihan, Willie Mack, Rich Swann type deal. Like, that's not for no reason. So definitely keep your eye on Willie Mack during this match.
I thought it was interesting that Willie and Sammy don't Willie Mack, Sammy, a couple others, there's no cross match. There's a lot of guys who don't have a match on this show yet. And I'm kind of like, okay, I wonder where. Just before we go to the next matches here, before we went on the air today, we were talking about how there is room for at least one, maybe even two more matches to be introduced. I could totally see it. So we'll see what happens, because there is some room here, and there's a couple of major players who just don't have a match yet. So we'll see what happens, but they could also just be accompanying and running in and just having participation on the show. That might be good enough too. So we'll see. Next match, guys. Knockouts Championship. Tessa Blanchard versus Taya Valkyrie, with Gail Kim as a special referee. Let's kick this one off with Ro. What do you say?
Taya defeats Tessa to become the new Knockouts champion, and then this also leads to a feud between Tessa and Gail Kim.
So Gail Kim out of retirement is what you're saying?
Yeah, I feel like we're headed towards that way.
Oh, interesting.
Good God, no.
Well, Adam's groan. I want to hear what that groan was about. Let's hear that.
I don't want to see Gail Kim back on my screen. I mean, I think she was great, but I've always said she was a charisma vacuum. She was great in the ring, but I just no, not for me. Don't keep her away. That's not to say Taya will. I think Taya will. Well, if Taya wins, Johnny will lose, and if Tessa wins, Johnny will win. If that makes sense. I can't see the husband and couple having the belt.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Husband and wife. Not husband.
Do you see Gail getting involved, Adam?
Well, she's bound to it at some point, yeah. And I think if anything, I think Tessa's going to win after a mix-up from Gail Kim. It's like, yeah, Gail Kim's going to screw up somehow, and then Taya's going to play Gail Kim.
Okay.
But I think Tessa will retain.
Tessa retains. Okay. Kyle, what do you say?
Okay. You both put it in two great directions.
Yeah, sure did.
I get Adam where he says he doesn't want to see Gail come back, but I mean, she's not that old. I would think there's some gas left in that tank. Adam, I get your critiques, but if this is another piece towards Tessa versus Gail down the line, and Gail doing the honors for Tessa and passing the torch to her, I could see them going in that direction where but then it's like, what's the point? Then it's like what's the point of putting the belt on Taya? What are we gonna do with Taya now? I don't know. I would say Tessa retains. Tessa retains.
And yeah, I'm going on a limb here. I'm going with Tessa retains too. I think Taya is the favorite, but I think you really stronghold Tessa, and Tessa retains. She then goes into a feud with Gail.
Yeah, you're gonna walk away from this pay-per-view with conflict between Tessa and Gail. That to me, that's where you got to go.
But I think that really to really establish Tessa as like the number one knockout, she goes into a feud with Gail, puts the title on the line, and then beats Gail.
Yeah.
And then just solidifies herself as like the top dog.
Adam, you have to realize that the difference between Gail inserting herself into this storyline as opposed to all the other times she did it in the past few years would be the end result of Tessa Blanchard getting the win and getting the torch passed to her. Is that so awful to you, Adam?
No, not at all. But Gail's already done the passing of the torch with Ali, didn't she? So it just feels played out a little bit. But
well, we're going to the hunting channel. I don't know how much we're going to see of Ali. You guys are laughing like this is a joke, but I'm serious here. It's a hunting channel with programming of animals being shot all day long. I can't see diehard vegans. Have you ever met vegans in real life? Vegans are very passionate people. Something's going to happen. There's going to be some sort of collision.
Maybe that's why Aries flipped off and just blew the whole
going to the hunting channel next year.
It's like hunting channel. Screw you guys. And he's like,
that's why he flipped off. That's why he flipped off Don Callis at the end of Boundary Glory.
I think that was it.
You take this bird, shove it right up your ass there, Callis. Ain't going to hunting channel.
It's going to be interesting if they go moose hunting. There you go.
Yeah, moose hunting.
Send moose into the woods. There you go. Next match.
All right, next one, guys. Main event. World Heavyweight Championship. Johnny Impact, Brian Cage. This one's been built pretty well. Brian Cage has looked strong. So let's, what do you guys think? Where are we going with this? Whoa. Let's kick it off with Roe.
See, I feel like, from my the previous predictions, I keep having somebody interfere. I don't think they could keep doing that, but I think this goes a no contest, and only because I feel we're going to get a triple threat between Johnny Impact, Cage, and Killer Cross. So I'm just going to go with that. I know everything I've said has been somebody interfering, but I'm going to go with somehow like some non-finish.
Okay, I'll flesh that out then. I'll go for Impact retains, turns heel, and has Cross choke out Brian Cage. And then Johnny Impact turns heel, and that's how we go with it. And then it's a Cross versus Cage program.
Cross versus Cage program. Okay, interesting. Kyle, what do you say?
Yeah, this lineup doesn't work for me because I have something in my head, and then I hear one of you guys say something that puts me somewhere else. I like that. I like what Adam just mentioned. I'm just visualizing in my head more of a heel Johnny Impact, more of the Johnny Mundo you see on Lucha Underground with Killer Chris. Oh my God. I quit podcasting. That's it. I'm done. Wow.
He's done. He's cut out.
That's it. Done. But no, I actually, you could turn Johnny Impact heel out of this. You really could.
Yeah, it's an easy way to do it. It's like you set up a couple different directions here, and I think it can really work out to do that. So if you decide to do it, absolutely, I think it could totally work. But yeah, I'm going with Cage as the winner here. I think it's cool. He looks good. Cage has worked hard. He's very passionate about being an Impact. He's very passionate about being that top guy for them. So I can see
Mega
it.
athlete. He's a freak athlete. He could talk. I think they need to invest in Brian Cage now.
Yeah, I think it's time to capitalize on Cage because he looks like such a star. You know, I mean, you look at Cage, he looks like something. The guy's got that wrestler look, man. I mean, he's a head turner. So putting it on Cage, I think is a natural fit. It's a natural look. It's a good look for a wrestling company. And I think it's totally believable that Cage could take Johnny and take this title.
Let me ask you guys though, and I'll touch on that too, Trent. If he turns heel, because I feel like this is the thing that happens a lot. We get a lot of these guys when they become champion, their face, and they turn heel. I think the company does need that baby face. Who's going to be the face? Are you guys going with Cage being the top face, or we just won't have one?
I would go. Eddie is the face, goes after him, doesn't win it, and then you get Eli as the super baby face.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, I see.
To take it
I
off.
like that. You let Eli Drake develop himself in the background, out of the program, and then insert him into it when the time is right, and you strike while the iron's hot. That's a good call there.
Very natural too, because Eli and Cage were a tag team years back. Yeah, when they wrestled at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, they were a tag team. So these guys know each other. There's history there, and I think and Impact actually licenses that footage for GWN for when these guys were a tag team from CWH. So I think it'd be cool. You do exactly. You get Eddie in there, insert Eddie, have him be the first contender, and then just build Eli and two big body guys. It could be perfect. That's your Eli redemption right there.
No, sorry. So I'm talking about Eli going up against Johnny Impact. Sorry, not against Cage.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Cage. But I was thinking Eli takes on Cage for the title afterwards.
Well, Trent, it ties into what we always talk about, how their roster is presented a certain way where things could just change on the drop of a dime.
That's true. Sorry, Adam. I took it the other way, but yeah, I see what you're saying too. Interesting, but that's where we're at, guys. That's Homecoming as of right now. Again, I still think another match could be added. If you guys were to add another match, where do you see? What would you like to see added? If you just taking who is left off this card right now as far as match goes, you got Cross, Sammy, Willie, a couple of the Rascals. I mean, who else? Based on whoever else is left, who could you see being added?
I would go for a tag team #1 contender match with KM, Falabar, the Rascals. Maybe throwing another team in there somewhere.
Okay, cool. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, you got to get the Rascals on the card. Good call there, Adam. You got to get the Rascals on the card for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned KM and Falabar is a good pick too. I mean, like definitely crowd pleasers, and make everybody happy. That'd be fun. What about you, Ro? Who would you like to see put into this?
Probably just an unsanctioned match. Maybe Kiera challenges Allie, and then I don't know what her status is, but maybe we get a Rosemary appearance in a confrontation.
Yeah, because there's a lot of room for matches to be added. I mean, this is only 6 matches here. We have.
And that's a whole other thing in itself, guys. We have to make a list of potential surprise appearances at the very end of this. It should have been ended quite a while ago. I think we're already approaching about an hour and 40 minutes of at least taped pod here. I don't know how much is going to get cut. We've definitely broken everything down here. But if you think about Austin Aries, Rosemary, Chris Jericho, who still possibly could show up. We have to make a list here of the potential surprises.
Well, we've also got Jordine, who said she was going to have a match, so that's going to be fitting there. But yeah, a tag team invitational would be great, and then that's how you get Daniels and Kaz back in.
That'd be cool too.
Into there, yeah. So that's a good match that could be a bit of fun, to break up the feuds that we've had going on a long time. And if it's an invitational, you can bring in guys as a one-off. You can do whatever you want with it, and it brings a lot of people into one match. So,
and #1 contender shot. That's where Trent could finally get his KM and follow moment.
Absolutely. I love my KM and follow, guys. I really do. I'm actually gonna go to pick up their book later today. I'm gonna go pick up that Christmas book they put out. I'm going to a bookstore later after this podcast. I'm gonna go pick that up because I like to support my boys. Christmas time.
I love about KM, by the way. I interviewed him, and the question I asked him was, because he was trained by Willie Mack. Not Willie Mack.
Oh, really?
Not Willie Mack. Who was the guy, the trainer in WWE who bullied everyone? Bill DeMott. Build him
Build him
up.
up.
He was trained by him, and it was one of these press pass things. I asked. This is why I love Ken, because he's just so honest. But I said to him, what was it like being trained underneath him? And most people will say, I don't want to comment about it. And he goes, I do not have a one good word to say about that guy. And I just thought,
really,
you've gone up in my estimation. You spoke your mind as opposed to sugarcoating it. Sorry, I interrupted your story about your Christmas present there.
No, I'm gonna go buy that for myself. I have no children to read that book to, so it's gonna be me with the fake the fake fire on the TV that Netflix has on. I'm put that fake fire on, sit by my tree, and read it to myself, guys. 'Cause that's the bachelor life, gentlemen. That's what you do when you don't have kids to read a kid's book to, but you're a wrestling mark and you love Cam and blah, blah, blah. That's what you do. I'm gonna do that tonight. Sounds sad as shit. Somebody take this from me. Adam, lead this into a different direction before I bury myself even more.
Trent, I don't know how to read. You can always read to me.
I'll read to you. Okay? We'll do a pod of me reading it to you, Kyle. What do you say?
Yeah, how about it?
It's like I could just imagine you in a Bing Crosby pullover in front of a fire, just reading it to him. Yeah, that'd be nice. I like
Not
that.
out of the realm of possibility. Not out of the.
Anyway, as Kyle said, we are going very long on this, so I think it's most probably a good time to finish it up, unless any of you three want to leave a final seasonal thought.
I want to just thank all the Impact, the loungers, the Impact tribe for listening, welcoming us. Thank you to you two also, Adam and Rob, for welcoming us, and BQ as well. So not to leave him off, for welcoming us to the channel and being so awesome, man. We've had some amazing, we had an amazing reception coming onto the network here, and it's been really humbling to see all this love from people who are fellow Impact fans and just making Kyle and I feel awesome every week about bringing them their reviews. So guys, thank you very much. It's a great Christmas present. How can I say? It was a great way to end my year. Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt. Thank you guys for, you really put that in place for us. You guys are running the review for quite a while, and we just got thrown right into it. So we took over. You guys are doing something different now on the channel. But thank you for building up that audience for us, because it's we didn't start out of nowhere. We just walked into something that was already established. So thank you, fellas, for that. Like I said earlier on in the podcast, I just want to put this message out there real quick to all the loungers. If you're bummed out about the Pursuit channel, just think about what I said earlier and do your part. Like I said, make the phone calls, call your cable providers. Hey, start calling up channels. Just call up the cable provider and tell them you don't want WWE on USA anymore. You don't want Ring of Honor on whatever channel they're on. You don't want Lucha Underground. You want Impact. Demand Impact. Give me my Impact.
Hey, well, I want to, thank you guys, for not only this, but, for the work you guys do during the review. And, it's great that we all, are working together, covering Impact like we do, because we're all big fans. Then also just for the listeners, giving us questions and, tuning in week and week out for all of us involved, just because that helps us. It lets us know that we're not just rambling over a pod, and, people are listening, sharing their opinions. And it's good Impact talk. Like, I know myself, Adam, you guys as well, we love socializing with the listeners and people on social media about various things. And finally, with the move, I would just say this, just with the whole Impact community, let's all kind of try to, I don't want to say so much as work together, but, not turn on one another. This company's already kind of gone through so much as it is. And the last thing we need is fans turning on one another and then not tuning into the product, because then that hurts the product. So, I know sometimes people go on Twitter and they share their criticisms, and some of it is valid. I mean, I'm, first to point out sometimes when people share some things that they make some sense, but, I'm not quick to, oh, well, you're a hater, you're a bad fan, don't watch. Like, the last thing we need is people not to tune in. The viewership is already have dropped as it is. If anything, we need to keep what we have and expand on that. So that's just a thing I hope, looking forward to this next move.
Well,
absolutely.
You've all summed it up perfectly. It's great to have you guys on. We love what you've done with the review show. So if you, by the way, bizarre if this is the first time you're stopping by the channel, but do hit the subscribe and continue to listen to the review, to the Adam and Rose show. We'll be back in the new year. first show is going to be Homecoming, I'm guessing. Or is that no? There's an Impact before that, isn't there? So
There'll be one before, yeah.
Yeah, so make sure you tune into that and hear the guys' review shortly afterwards. And you never know, maybe one day they'll invite us onto their show. You know, we can only hope for Christmas miracles. Right.
White Russians for everybody.
Have a great festive break, everyone. I've got to say that because it's multicultural out there now. I can't say Christmas, someone get offended. So have a good festive break, and we'll catch you in 2019.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Later.
Hair of the dog. Time for some more drinks. See you guys.
I'm going to join you on that one as well.